I may have a problem. Yesterday, I was reading the user manual for the three-phase converter, and when I was talking with the people there and went over it several times, what I was doing, what I needed, and they recommended a 10 horsepower motor. So I ordered or purchased all the wire, cabling, circuit breakers that would work with the 10 horsepower motor. Then on the day I buy it, I actually purchase it, I was talking with the guy, with the rep, and he said, well, let's go over everything, make sure we're okay. And then he wanted the amperage on the label on the back of the machine. So I gave him that information. He said, the 10 may not work.
Welcome to 3D Accuracy, where I'll talk about 3D printing, 3D product design, and 3D injection and die-cast mold design.
So he recommended, well, maybe we want to go with the 15. I said, okay, well, I'd rather be safe than sorry, so let's do the 15. So I purchased the 15. 15 shows up yesterday. I read through the manual, and come to find out, the 15 needs an 8 gauge wire from the breaker box, from the main panel, to the three-phase panel. And all the wire that I put up is all 10 gauge wire. So that means I got to talk to him on Monday and see whether it's absolutely necessary to have the 8 gauge wire, and it may well be. That means all this wire that I put in, all this cable, I've got to disconnect all of that, pull one of those strands out of there. There's four strands of 10 gauge wire in there, but I got to pull out one specifically, all the way back down to the electric box, to the fuse breaker box. I got to remove this breaker, which is a 40, and put in a 50 and get that line out of there, which happens to be this one here, the one in the back in the corner, and put an 8 gauge wire in there instead. Now, fortunately, I was able to find some metal clad 8 gauge 3 lead wire that's the same as this, it's just a heavier gauge. I couldn't get it at Lowe's, I didn't see it online, I was looking, I found it on Amazon, and it is in stock, I can get it. Now I also need the 8 gauge for the air conditioning unit. Actually, they recommend a 6 gauge from the panel to the shutoff, the disconnect box, and then 6 gauge from the disconnect box to the condenser unit. But for some reason, their condenser unit won't accept the 6 gauge wire. You have to use 8. And they said I could use 8 from the panel to the condenser unit, it should be okay. So I got to clarify that with them before I do it. But at least I have a source for the 8 gauge wire. I'm not happy about having to get up there on the ladder and pull all that down and open and pull one out of there and redo it, tuck it all back in and put another line in there. Just wasn't planning on spending a couple of days doing that. So it blows a hole in my schedule. But anyway, I'll find out on Monday and do what I have to do. In the meantime, I'm going to see if I can get this three-phase panel mounted to the wall and get that finished, taken care of. So 1 step forward, 2 steps back, right? I hate that kind of stuff. Well, I got looking at the three-phase panel, getting it mounted on the wall over here around the other side of the machine, and I want to wait until I get the cables, until I know which cables need to go in, because there's some punch-out holes on the bottom of the phase converter panel that I have to punch out holes to bring the wires in and put a circuit breaker on, which they forgot to send with the phase converter, so I have to follow up on that on Monday, get them to send me the circuit breaker, make sure I punch out all the right holes. And I don't want to mount it to the wall and then try to punch out holes. Much easier to do it, while it's out and loose, and I can get the punch outs out of there and then mount it on the wall and bring everything in and connect it up. Much easier to do it that way, I think. So I'm going to wait till I get the wire.
I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you're ever in need of 3D product design, 3D injection mold design, 3D die-cast mold design, or 3D printed prototypes or production parts, please feel free to contact me. You can find contact information in the video description. I look forward to hearing from you and to being of service to you. Thank you for watching. As always, I appreciate it. See you on 3D Accuracy's next video.